Today we're going to swap out these Recaro seats in my 1980 Tr8 for the seats that we rebuilt over the weekend, which are original seats which I've redone with the Rimmer kits in blue leather to match the blue interior. So this shouldn't be too difficult. Let's see if I can't set this camera up somewhere where you can see what I'm doing. Now these Recaros, somebody built mounting for them, and because they're longer than this direction, these two bolts were hidden under the front of the seat, which were incredibly difficult to get out, but they came out nonetheless. Their rear two could slide the seat forward and get at them, but even at that, there's still, see this bracketry down here that somebody made to get these in here, so I need to get all that stuff out as well. The Recaro seats didn't have any of the stock mechanisms to put the sliders on, but I was fortunate in that the seats that I had picked up, which are the ones we rebuilt the other day, those ones, had the sliders with them, and it had the bolts for the seat belts. Actually had the female end even, because the seat belt points had been moved in the car, so we can put those back together. And when we were rebuilding that seat, we found one of those special square washers which give me a template, so I made a whole bunch out of just some heavy gauge sheet metal. And when I ordered the seats, I had ordered new socket head cap screws from Rimmer's, so they really should be Torx bits like this, and I actually have 3. This is not enough to do even one chair, unfortunately. But this red car right here is my parts car, and I was fortunate in that these were in there. So these go on the inboard rear runner, bolt down through there. These are the stops for the seats so they don't go back too far. So we got those, and then of course it also told me how thick the spacers are supposed to be. There's spacers under the runner so that the runners don't bind in the carpet. And I had a piece of 7/8 aluminum bar around, so I made up these spacers. So there is supposed to be a little piece of sheet metal that goes up in the front corner that stops the track from cutting into the carpet. And if I had them, I'd put them in, but I don't have them. And to be honest, we never pull the seats forward. I'm 6 foot, my wife's 5'10", so I don't see the point. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them together like this. So that's what I'm going to do. So I placed my spacers where they need to be, and that rear slide stop. You want to make sure you bolt your seat belt in before you bolt the seat in, otherwise it will be really hard to get at. I'm not sure you can, because it's a fairly long bolt and it's right up against the inside of the rocker panel here. Just a 11/16 wrench. I'm going to make sure it's not twisted, it's in the right orientation. Pretty simple, really. And of course the female end was already bolted onto this, which you don't typically take it off. And now I'll put the tracks all the way back. Seat back forward. Now, a lot of these square washers are still in here, so I didn't have to make as many as I did. Here, I'll show you. You see the seat track. That black piece is the skid. It needs to be put in position that it's going to go almost all the way back to the bulkhead. And we have the same sort of thing over here, right there. And you see that square washer is still actually in there, so that's very cool. These seats have been moved around. There were mover stickers on them, so the guy took them out, had them at his house, moved them, and those square washers never fell out. And that's in place. So now it's just a matter of, I usually like to take a long extension and stuck it at cap screw and just feed those screws through. So we'll get back when we get to the front. So there's our spacers, our bolts. They stop, they're all in place, both sides, and I run them down to they're just touching, because we're going to need to twist the front of the frame around to get the front bolts in, so we'll go back later and tighten them down. So there it is. The other seat was difficult to get out. The front was a little bit easier, but I didn't want to slide all the way forward. I had a real bear getting it forward and then getting the back two nuts out. But there it is. It's swept out. The stop's in place over here. The spacers are laid out. Now I just need to set the other chair. Almost done. I'm all done. There's the two new seats, all bolted down. I do need to clean them a little bit, and I should put a little bit of hide oil on them, just because they're a bit dry. They're all in. Look really nice. Pretty good color match overall. Well, I haven't sat in them yet. I'm going to do that. I have to go back the car out, but they should be fine. Nothing left to do now but clean a little bit and then take it for a test ride. Yay! This is my 1980 Triumph Tr7. It's California spec, so it's fuel injected. This is the car we just put the seats in. They're right here, and they look really nice. And I even put a special seat in for you guys so you can go along for a ride. We're going to go test ride and stop by the post office. Just kind of a nice sunny morning, so it's not too hot yet. Good day for a ride. Let me see the motor. This is one of about 230 TR8s that are fuel injected from the factory, so it's a combination of Bosch parts like the injectors, most of the sensors, but it's a Lucas computer because it's twin bank fire. Most of the Bosch ignitions at that time were single fire because they were designed for 4 and 6 cylinders. So this fires 4 injectors and then 4 injectors, but fires them all at once, not sequential injection. So it's got 2 oxygen sensors, so that the 2 banks of injectors run at different mixture levels as required. So it's pretty stock, power steering, no air conditioning. It is a Petronics distributor because the old Lucas one it still worked, but I just didn't trust it. But other than that, it's pretty stock. So we'll get you set up in your special chair, and we'll go for a ride. Now, we're ready to go. We're in Petaluma, California, and it's very smoky right now because we got some big fires burning up further north, but nothing close to us, fortunately, for us. Hopefully you can see okay. So we're over in the southeast quadrant of town. Down by the high school, Casa Grande, or the big house. Of course, we're only 25 miles away from San Quentin, which truly is the big house. But I don't really think that's what they were trying to imply. So we have our own personal traffic circle. Some of the worst roads in California, as I'm sure you can tell. in American Graffiti at the end where Harrison Ford drag races the black 55 Chevy and rolls it over into that field over there. Better because we're in the county now. We're coming up to the huge BGD substation on the left here. Kind of nice. It means we're so close at the house. We hardly ever lose power. Very nice. Power lines roll in across the delta and all that, so they don't shut them down for high winds because there's no trees. So even though last year everybody else wound up without power a bunch, we didn't lose it for a minute. See how gray the sky is, that's all smoke. Things turned out pretty comfortable. They do feel significantly different from the Recaros. The difference not necessarily bad. They do feel a little plump right now, but I'm sure they'll settle in a little bit. Not the 6 or 7 set of Tr7 seats that I've rebuilt. They'll always settle down a bit. They are really pretty comfortable seats. We're pretty close to the airport, so we keep on hearing the helicopters coming in to refuel from the firefighting operations. go inside because I got to buy postage for a little packet that I'm sending off. Coming up on the house, and it's really smoky. Here we are, my humble abode. I hope you enjoyed your ride.